Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and you guys had a really great reaction to the Hulk video from yesterday. I didn't really think the video was going to do that well. I just wanted to talk about the Hulk. I just wanted to show a bit of gameplay and then mostly focus on the build. But seeing your reaction, and I really appreciate all the support, has led me to try this again, but this time with a character that doesn't quite have the gameplay down yet. And of course, that is Blade, with his new uniform pending. Now, we don't know when it's going to come out. My guess is either next Monday or the Monday after that, because it's a week after Moon Knight. So it seems like, just like Kamala and Iceman's uniform, they are putting these out one week after another, following the update. So we had the update a week later. Moon Knight's uniform came out, which was just a couple days ago. And then a week from now, under a week from now, whatever, 5 days from now, we're going to get either Blade's uniform or Ghost Rider's uniform. Gotta say, I'm really excited for both. So yeah, here's what we're gonna do for Blade. But first, another shout out to you guys leaving those comments. Improve ABX rewards. Mwah, love it. Chef's kiss all the way. Everything is being bombarded that I can see. Thank you, but not right now. But I appreciate the offer. Facebook posts, YouTube videos, Twitter. You guys are just completely annihilating them. There's no way that they're not stressing out over these comments being spammed everywhere. It's hilarious. So thank you guys so much for that. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through, yes, I have a level 62 Blade, so obviously I could, thank you, but not right now. But I appreciate the offer. I'm not going to bring my Blade to level 70 right now, but I'm going to go and look at his build and basically fine tune and tweak my Blade build in anticipation of the uniform. And I know a lot of you guys do this. When you know that a character is going to get reworked, you know that a character is going to be getting a new whatever uniform, tier 3, etc., you go back to your old builds, especially if it's a character that's been bad for a long time. Blade's been bad for a long time, so as you can see, my build for him is pretty scuffed. I don't even have level 6 skills. Thank you, but no thank you, but I appreciate the offer. So yeah, we're going to try to fix some of this up and sort of anticipate what the build could look like and what the stats might look like given his new skills and his new effects. So obviously this is subject to change. It's a little bit risky sometimes, but usually they don't change things too drastically from the APK to the live version. I know, Ghost Rider's passive got tweaked, or they removed his immunity or whatever, but usually for stat bonuses they don't touch those. So he gets some chain hit damage that doesn't matter for his build. He gets his vampiric senses. Now, normally I would say if it's a crit rate all speed buff, you can count that against his existing crit rate, and I would say his soft cap is 50%. But no, in this case, you can't say that. Especially if you're going to give your Blade a rage, you have to just, thanks Chris Davies, but no thanks, I appreciate the offer. You're going to have to give him 75% crit rate, because this is a 10-second buff on a 20-second cooldown. That means for 50% of the fight, you don't have any crit rate buffs. So if you only go to 50% and not 75, and you go with a rage, then when the fight starts, sure, you get your 75%, you're doing maximum damage, but then 10 seconds into the fight on your second or third rotation of your rage, it's not going to do as much damage. You're going to lose, a bunch of crit rate. So unfortunately, we cannot count on his crit rate being buffed that way. This skill doesn't have any buffs. This skill has all defense down. This skill has all defense and super armor and some other stuff, but no stat buffs. Bullet Rampage has no stat buffs, and then Hunter's Revenge also has no stat buffs. Okay, wow. So Blade has 0 stat buffs. Whew. Okay. Well, looking at the skill preview, when we go back and we looked at the skill preview, he does have a lot of skills with long animations, right? So this skill right here, long animation. He jumps up, he slashes, he does a bunch of slashes again, then he puts his sword away, and then there's a bunch more slashes after that. And then especially the fourth skill, you can see here he pulls out his guns and he does a bunch of shots. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Crossbones. But yeah, with these really long animations, you're going to want near or max attack speed. So that is one thing that you want to take into consideration. My attack speed is 116% because I have overdrive. So I would honestly consider re-rolling to Power of Angry Hulk. Now, judging by the skill preview, you can't be 100% sure if the skills, not this one, you can't be 100% sure if the skills are going to be this slow, because we don't know what the base attack speed is for the character in skill preview. Is it 100%? Is it 130%? Like, we don't know, right? So what you can do is you take a look at overdrive, and this is what I do sometimes. So you take a look at the ISOs for overdrive, and you take a look at the ISOs for Power of Angry Hulk, if you're only deciding between those two. So the difference between these two ISO 8 sets is the powerful ISO and the chaotic. So overdrive has 2 chaotics and 2 silvers. Power of Angry Hulk has 1 silver and 3 chaotics. So what you can basically do is just leave one of them unupgraded. So what that basically looks like is I'm going to equip, let's say, physical attack. I really like Blade. Well, he might not be that good. All right, let's try this one. Okay, so we're going to equip this one here. Okay, but I'm going to leave this one at 5 stars. So if we have to replace this one for a chaotic in the future, if I decide to roll for Power of Angry Hulk, it's not going to be a big deal. Do you see what I'm saying? So we're going to go ahead here and give him, oh, it's energy attack, right? So we're going to give him, let's go with this all attack here. So we're going to do that there, give him some 6-star. We're going to do the same thing over here. Okay, this is all defense, sure. And so this is essentially, you're kind of hedging, right? Do you want to go this hard on Blade? Maybe not. All right, maybe not, but we'll upgrade it a little bit here. I have a lot of crit. Okay, a lot of crit ISO. And then we check this one's physical attack HP. So you know what? That's actually really good. So I'm just going to enhance this one instead of replacing it, because I've got some other ones. And I've been kind of low on chaotics lately. So we're actually just going to take this one up to 6 stars. But basically, I do this sometimes for builds so that I can sort of give myself both options. I can either stay with overdrive. Obviously, this doesn't work if you don't want overdrive or Power of Angry Hulk. But that's usually what it comes down to for characters, is the difference between those two. We're not quite done yet. We have to give him one more here. And we're going to go with... See, we might want to go with dodge if we want to give him a rage. We don't know yet, right? You'd think Blade HP, but yeah. So you know what? Let's go with physical attack dodge here. There we go. And then we will enhance this one here and take this up to 6 stars. What? There we go. These menus are so confusing sometimes for the ISOs. They really need to fix them. So there we go. We got a stage 7 we got a stage 7 overdrive, which can be easily transformed into a stage 7 Power of Angry Hulk if I just spend the gold to re-roll it and then just throw 1 chaotic on and delete that 5-star, that lonely 5-star ISO. And if it was a 3-star or a 4-star, it would be the same process there. As far as the skills are concerned, we know that these 2 skills, actually I think his second skill does have all defense down, right? So we have to level up his second skill, his third skill, and his 5th skill, not his 4th skill. So 2, 3, and 5 need to be leveled up. Again, you don't necessarily have to do this right away, but I think it's kind of funny to show, and it basically achieves the same goal as doing this when the uniform comes out, except you don't have all of the hype surrounding the uniform to sort of cloud your judgment. And you also don't have to rush. You can sort of take your time. So that's that. The CTP or obelisk, this is the only thing I would suggest to not touch and not upgrade or switch or whatever. I get a lot of people asking me, hey, what CTP should I give Blade? Or I just rolled this crit damage, whatever, max HP, 200% damage proc, obelisk. Should I give it to Blade? My answer is always no or wait. That's always my answer, because you never know for that. And unfortunately, it costs some gold to re-roll this or to get new ISO. It's not that hard. You can't farm CTPs, and if you want to unequip them, it doesn't cost gold. It costs 600 crystals. So the risk of being wrong or changing your mind, which is a biggie, is huge. It is real. The risk of changing your mind is real, and so it's really just not worth it to do that in that case without seeing the uniform in action. So going back to his details page, we can see that he is okay. He's well capped on ignore defense and crit damage, but that is assuming I'm getting 40%, 41% for my CTP. So he could be missing crit damage in the future, but his crit rate is really low. His dodge is really low. His cooldown is fine. His attack speed is pretty low as well. So we're gonna take a look here. He's got ignore defense on this gear. There isn't actually too much that I can do for him at this point as far as the Uru is concerned. I really like Blade, so I think I'm going to give him 4 6-star physical attack. Yeah, come on. Because I really like this character, and I want this symmetry of having them all in the same place, and you'll see what I'm saying in a second. So we go back, and look at that second line. It's all red now. So that's nice. Now, the 3 cooldown Uru are pretty ugly, especially because they're not amplified, so it's just wasting 3 slots. I don't like that. And he's still, 75 or 85% off. 0.85, excuse me, 0.85. Almost 1% off cooldown max. So let me take a look at the skills though. Are the cooldowns long? 17 seconds, 13 seconds, 13 seconds. No, okay, so he has very short cooldowns. So you might not need to cap out his cooldown, or what you could do is just amplify this until you get 5. Now, I don't want to do that at this point, but that is something that you could definitely do. I would not upgrade. He gets ignored dodge. I would not upgrade his uniform, the 70s classic. The only reason you would upgrade this uniform to mythic is if you're trying to get a rank 1 blade. You need to get this uniform to mythic, and you need to get all of the optional uniforms like that and like that to mythic as well. And then when the new one comes out, you would just do the same thing. Type enhancement. If you're going to use him for PvP, or if you're going to use him against Quicksilver, World Boss, and stuff like that, then you would upgrade this, but I'm obviously low on the resources. So yeah, at this point here, my last sort of course of action would be to tweak his Uru with, a few different options. I would probably go more offensive, so I would probably replace, so let's say, for example, I would go ahead and replace this, crit rate. Just delete that so that I can go back and give him crit rate here instead of this HP. Something like that. But we also have to consider the dodge, or not the dodge, the crit damage. But basically, if I was going to give him a CTP of energy, for example, you could sort of theory craft based on what you think you're going to do. So if you think you're going to give him a CTP of energy for the chain hit damage for all the hits that he has on his skills, then you don't need to worry about dodge at all. You can just focus on the crit rate, because I know the crit damage is going to be basically capped, right? Maybe I don't have 40% on my CTP of energy, but I've got 32, or here we got 42 there. So yeah, that's fine. But even 32 is going to put me in the 190% range. So now I just have to focus on the crit rate and getting that up. So then what I would do is I would just swap around these Urus, to make sure that I have at least 6, maybe 8 amplified crit rate Urus before the build is ready. But you know what, you look at it, and I'm wasting so many slots on ignored defense as well. But then you realize, right, 1 2 3 4, why did I do that? Because I never upgraded his uniform, right? So that's the other thing you have to take into consideration when you're touching the Uru. I never even got his uniform to heroic. If I had gotten his uniform to heroic, I would have unlocked the next uniform option, which in this case is Thor, which I don't have. It's normal, so I'm only gonna get like 500 ignore defense. But for this uniform, it's probably gonna be mythic because it uses newer uniform options, and I'm gonna get this uniform to mythic, which means I'm gonna unlock that ignore defense. So chances are, unless I roll that to HP, I'll be able to take all of these Uru off of him, these ignore defense Uru, or I'll be able to replace them at least, or I'll keep them there, but I'll be able to re-roll this to crit rate or something like that. So then that just boils down to whether you have the Uru, or whether you want to keep the Uru there instead of making new Uru or replacing Uru, and then re-rolling the 4th gear option or not. So that gives you another question to answer based on your inventory status. I guess based on your gold as well, but it costs gold to upgrade Uru to then replace it, so you're spending gold either way. It's just whether you'd rather switch this option, right, which can go up as high as 2077 for the actual stat bonus that it gives, or whether you want to rank up to 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, 6-star Uru, and then go ahead and replace it here the way that I did with something like this, where you go ahead with the crit rate and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to replace this, and then you just replace it, right? If you don't have the Uru for this, then you have a different question on your hands. So that's the build loadout for Blade. Unfortunately, because he doesn't have any buffs, you really have to go all in on his build if you want to be able to hit those stat maxes and those caps stats. You're gonna have to put a lot into the Uru or the ISO 8 set and Obelisk /CTP for the crit damage if you want that to be really high. The same thing with the crit rate. Ignore defense. You know, he basically doesn't have any extra stats. He doesn't have any extra stats on his passives, right? His passives. I mean, ignore dodge is an extra stat, but it's not the big five, right? Dodge, crit rate, crit damage, ignore defense, skill cooldown. It's not any of those five there. So you really have to go all in on the Uru, ISO 8 set, and custom gear, and then uniform with the uniform options if you want to make the most out of your blade. Unfortunately, we can't count on the vampiric senses. Is that what it's called? As cool as it sounds, yeah. The cooldown for this should really be 10 seconds so that it constantly activates. If that was the case, then it would be much easier. You could honestly even argue that overdrive would be fine because 120 all attack, for me at least, is definitely usable, and then the crit would have been really nice. But yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of the pre-blade uniform blade build. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.